Freaka TV, Freak Up Studio, live. 2021 GSL Super Tournament, Season 3.
Hey everybody, welcome back to GSL Super Tournament. I'm Artosis alongside State once again. Thanks for coming, buddy. How you doing?
Doing pretty well, man. Pretty excited for the next day of GSL Super Tournament. We have 4 really good matches ahead of us today. A lot of pro tosses, and I'm sure some viewers at home are a little salty about that, but I'm pretty happy.
I think most people play Protoss anyway, so probably most people are happy about this.
All the other players quit.
You and I actually play Protoss, so it's like, okay. But yeah, this is going to be a fantastic day. We're going to finish up the round of 16 just a little bit ahead of time. I am a little bit sick, a little bit under the weather. So now when I suck, you guys can't be mean about it. All right. Yeah, these are some great matches that we have today. I do think that the first one's going to be pretty one-sided, but everything else looks really nice.
Yeah, Ryung is trying to make his comeback here, and I mean, Zoun is one of the best Protoss players in Korea right now. He's got his work cut out for him, and we have a little bit of information here about studio admission for GSL Super Tournament. Of course, we are now starting the with COVID policy in Korea, and we have a live audience.
Yes, that's right. We have 60 people here, and for $5, you can get a ticket too. Few things. You need to show that you're vaccinated. You need to buy the tickets ahead of time. You have to bring an ID to check in and get your temperature taken. Yeah. But you can join us here at the studio, so definitely do check that out at the link that we just showed you there. And come on down if you're in the country.
Yeah, so man, I'm excited about the Zoun versus Ryung match. I mean, I know that it's probably on paper going to be the most one-sided, but Ryung, he's a veteran, he's a warhorse. He's coming through after a long break, and I'm kind of interested in seeing how he's reinvented himself. Besides that, I mean, Dream and Solar, 2 of the best Terran and Zerg players in the world. Maru versus Classic.
Well,
absolutely going to be incredible.
That's a match that you like dream about. That's literally a GSL Finals. Yeah. And then Zest and Hero, 2 of the absolute best Protosses ever. It's so exciting to have Hero back here. Of course, until Trap kind of went on a run while Hero was in the military, he was the dominator of Super Tournament. So we'll see if he can kind of fight back and take down Zest, who is on a hot streak right now, getting second in the last GSL.
Yeah, man. I'm excited. I think all of these matches, there's intrigue in every single one of them. Yeah. And I mean, Zoun versus Ryung again on paper, probably the most one-sided, but all of these other series, I can see them going, you know, one way or the other.
Yeah, absolutely. I would agree with that. I would love to see Ryung really pull out something special here against Zoun. I mean, Ryung is one of my favorite players from the old days. He is literally like a Season 1 guy, and it's great to have him back. But this man here, Zoun, is ridiculously strong right now. He's one of the best up-and-coming players in Korea. Well, actually, he's the best up-and-coming player in Korea. Yeah. And he's been on such a hot streak. Like, it's not outside the realm of possibilities for this guy to win a GSL next year or the year after.
I believe it. I mean, I trained with this guy on Prime all the way back in 2014. We were teammates, and even back then when he was 17, 18 years old, everybody in the practice room knew that he had the potential to be one of the best Protoss players in Korea. And it took him a number of years to kind of figure that out, but I mean, ever since 2020, he's been on a tear.
Yeah, he really has been. Now, with Ryung, I mean, he's just getting back into GSL, to playing into these tournaments. And I think that this is especially hard because he's a TBT sniper, very strong TBZ, but TVP has always, by far, been his worst matchup.
Yeah, and in the current metagame right now, it's a tough matchup for Terrans at the top level, you know? I mean, Protoss has a lot of tricks, a lot of different play styles they can pull out, and it's hard to deal with all of them. But, I mean, Ryung coming through, I'm sure he's got something up his sleeve.
Yeah, I'm sure he planned for it well. He's a smart guy, so I think he's going to bring out some good strategies. But with Zoun on such a hot streak, and this always being Ryung's weak point, and Ryung just getting back into professional play, it seems like an almost insurmountable hill to climb.
Yeah, well, we'll see how that goes in map number 1. I wasn't quite too sure what we're playing on there in map number 1.
Hardwire first.
Hardwire.
Yeah, followed by 2,000 Atmospheres, Berlingrad, Blackburn, and Glittering Ashes. And all right, I think we're just about ready to get into game number 1 here. Zoun versus Ryung on Hardwire. Guys, get out there, tell your friends, Super Tournament is on. Start the match.
All right, here we go. Zoun vs. Ryung, map number 1. GSL Super Tournament Day 2.
Game starts. Alpha X, Zoun. Team GP, Ryung.
Now, one thing that I'm interested to see here is if Ryung has done his homework, and I'm sure he has. I mean, this is a very important match for him coming back after a long break from StarCraft 2. Zoun, he's not too aggressive in this matchup, and usually when he goes macro, he has one of 2 play styles, one of which is early Phoenix into Colossus, and the other of those being Blink Stalker and Disruptor into a third base with a lot of gateways, late upgrades, and 2 things that those play styles accomplish, or what I should say is both those play styles do accomplish, is they're very, very powerful ways of shutting down early aggression. And I'm kind of curious what Ryung is going to try and do to circumvent that advantage, knowing that Zoun usually likes those play styles.
Yeah. Oh my
God.
God.
Oh wow, that's
yeah, that's pretty one-sided, isn't it?
He really doesn't want to get NG labeled. My goodness, 4 probes right away.
Yeah, a lot of people have been pulling 4 probes lately against that. Kind of interesting to see that being picked up. Reactor going down immediately. Cybernetics Core, of course, gets started.
Oh man,
handsome by Ryung. See, he's a very clever and brainy player.
Yeah.
Throw down the second one, like, yeah, why not? I mean, you get enough health there that you're causing a lot of lost mining time.
Yeah, I mean, most of the opportunity cost for the Terran player is like sending the SCV across the map so early to NG block in the first place. So like, adding another cancel doesn't cost too much. The probe is going to get into the main base and see what's going on, but pretty standard, just a fast reactor for Ryung. 1 guy on gas, no big tech coming. He's just going to be expanding here.
Yeah, the probe coming back, trying to get that SCV. Not going to be able to do anything right now. Yeah, Ryung I always think of as a player that tries to get an edge, like with a technical opening a lot of times against Protoss.
Yeah.
You know, I think back to TVPs of his, and I feel like a lot of them go down the road of something in the order of like, okay, we have like this quick drop, like you mentioned, or like maybe a quick Banshee or something, but then he kind of gets out macroed, right?
Right.
And I don't ever think of him as someone who plays a good bio late game against Protoss.
I feel like if Ryung is going to be successful in this series, it's going to have to be with bio-based timings. I think he's not going to, he has to avoid overextending in the early game, don't get shut down by Phoenix, don't get drops caught off on the map, don't lose units moving across the map against Blink Stalkers or Disruptors. Just kind of get a really strong bio ball and hit before like the 2 forges or 1 forge, all the upgrades kick in there for Zoun. I feel like that's probably his best bet, knowing the playstyle of these players. But again, we haven't seen Ryung in such a long time that it's kind of hard to really anticipate how he's changed and evolved as a player.
Yeah, I'm really not too sure of it. Now, there's actually a Void Ray being made here.
Wow.
This could end up being one of those Void Ray Adept all-ins. That's just the first thing that popped to my mind here, if you're chrono boosting out a Void Ray right away. But if you look at the actual build that Ryung is going for, it's a very quick 3 barracks play with, it looks like he's going for 2 tech labs. So he's going to be, like, we'll see if he makes 2 Marauders at a time or 3 Marines at a time. I think, yeah, the 3 Marines makes more sense while he gets Stim and Concussive, but this is going to give him a lot of units. And this is the opposite of the openings I was talking about, right? This is not very technical. This is kind of a brute force opening. So I actually, looking at these positions, I don't know, tell me if you agree, I think this is pretty decent for Ryung.
As long as he's not kind of caught out of position here. And I mean, this Void Ray moving across, avoiding all of these. There are 3 Marines back at home, and I think a few more about to pop out of these barracks, but gonna shut him down right there. And Ryung, I mean, this is a classic move coming out from him. This is reminiscent of really old school TVPs moving out with just Concussive Shell, a couple Marauders, just 1 even, and a large group of Marines. But I mean, Zoun, in the meantime, he does have a shield battery. He does have 3 Adepts and a Zealot here, another Void Ray on the way.
Yeah, I mean, with Concussive, you can actually get something done, but honestly, without a 3rd base up, I don't feel like this is super worthwhile. Like, I mean, if you can shave a unit or 2 off, that's nice. But, yeah, I don't know. There's like a shield battery there. How much are you really going to accomplish?
Yeah, the way that this is going, I mean, I don't think he's going to get that Void Ray. He gets, what, 2 3 Adepts, 1 Zealot. That's a pretty even trade on paper. But the issue there for Ryung is I don't think he wants any kind of even trades. I think he wants to amass a really powerful bio army to hit a critical timing, because even trades, although they don't necessarily give an advantage to any player, they tend to favor the one player that's going to excel in the macro game, because all else being equal, I mean, it's kind of just pushing the timer back in terms of when a decisive blow can come through.
Sure, sure. The, do you think this is going to be Colossus coming out? Kind of looks like it, right? I mean, I think that's the right play, is to go Colossus, but like, what a weird build. Void Ray Colossus, what is this, Wings of Liberty? Like, really?
It makes sense given how marine heavy Ryung has been playing. I mean,
totally.
Zoun is kind of forcing that a little bit with some really cute micro here even. These Void Rays, this is a really fantastic spot. This is just free damage almost. Losing the shields and just 2 of these and getting, what, 4 or 5 Marines?
Yeah, taking a bit of hull damage, but you know, the Void Rays aren't going to scale super well. There are 2 Vikings at a time being made, 3rd CC coming up. Actually, a little bit ahead of that 3rd Nexus, so that's kind of nice for Ryung as well. Still not a bad opening here for Ryung.
Yeah.
But it feels like Zoun is still getting to do basically what he wants.
And that's pretty much going Stargate into Colossus in that 3rd base. And he's getting the Forge up right now. He'll probably be in a good defensive spot. The Void Rays, they do have a lot of versatility, not just in getting small amounts of harassment done, as we saw there, the natural expansion of Ryung, but also in shutting down drop play. I mean, Void Rays absolutely decimate medevacs. Like, if Ryung goes for any kind of drop, which I don't think he's angling to do with this move. I think this is more of just him trying to get at a different angle to come in on the 3rd base and see what's going on there. But if he does decide to go for a double medevac drop here, it could be very problematic.
Oh yeah, if you fly into those Void Rays, you are just dead. You turn on a Void Ray and a medevac won't get by it. 3 Void Rays is even worse, of course. He does turn around after killing that side, which is obviously a very smart move. I mean, if there's a pile in there, your opponent knows exactly where you're at. Widowmine drop coming out, and a little bit late, too, which kind of makes it interesting, right?
Yeah.
You're not really thinking about a Widowmine drop right now.
I like this. I like it specifically for that reason, because, I mean, the phase of the game where a Widowmine drop would be expected is kind of past, especially now that Ryung has gone into his full bio ball. He's got a lot of medevacs and Marines, Vikings out on the map. And this has the potential to kill pretty much a full mineral line of probes if he's lucky.
I tell you, this is an interesting way that Ryung is playing. I'm kind of digging it, to be honest. I like this. He's actually getting the Ghost Academy now, which is like lined up with the Templar Archives. You don't see many Terrans do that, but I'm always a fan of getting that ahead of time. And here we go. He's actually posturing and then dropping the mines out.
Yeah, he's completely divided the attention there of Zoun, and he's going to get a lot of probes out of that. 12, 13 going down, having to pull probes in the main. 1 more will fall in the meantime. Ryung, he got a good look at that army there of Zoun. He's going to turn around, buy himself a little bit more time. I think he wants to get his Viking count up a bit more and potentially hit a timing there with Ghosts. I mean, he only has 1 engineering bay, so this is looking like a 1-1 timing for me. Yeah,
I think it does look basically like that right now. Like, I haven't seen the armory or anything. He is making like a couple Vikings. That's the one thing I'm not a super fan of. If you're going to go Vikings to counter Colossus plus 3 Voids, like, I feel like 4 Vikings isn't useful here. 8 Vikings, yep. 4, it's like, well, they may as well be medevacs, because the 4 are like, the battle will be over before these clear what they're trying to clear.
I think he's going to have 6 in time for this push, if I'm not mistaken. Potentially 8. Yeah, there's 4 and 2 just popped already. And I mean, 6 Vikings, they can do a lot of damage to a Colossus, and that's really the crux of what he's trying to get here. He's not getting them to deal with the Voids.
Yeah.
His Marine count is just so high, he doesn't want Thermal Lance to shred everything. Wow, even another Widowmine drop coming in here.
And look at that, microing them as well, trying to get maximum value. Love that little setup that we just saw there as well, like the turret plus mines around it, just very nasty to try to attack into. And look at this huge arc. He actually has SCVs with his army as well, really ready for this battle if it's going to occur. He has a couple, 3 ghosts in there, in fact. Yeah, but this is a scary timing right now. I mean, Zoun's about to hit critical mass with this army, and before more Vikings get on the field, this could be very problematic for Ryung, as they're just starting posture, and here comes the engagement. Oh my god, and the Colossi doing a lot of damage here. He is kiting back a little bit. All the Archons getting very, very low, and it looks like everything's going to pop here for Zoun.
Oh, man. Yeah, those Vikings just completely took down the Colossi, and that pullback with the Marines, they evaded pretty much all the thermal lance, and once the splash damage is gone there for the Protoss, it's just Stalkers and Zealots, and those do not kill units under Medivacs very easily. The Marines come in and they clean up, and that was a huge fight for Ryung. I can't believe how decisively
it really was
one-sided that was.
And this is kind of funny because he's adding a 4th CC. Okay, great. But do we even have an armory? Like, let's get 2-2 going if we're doing that. But he's so far ahead right now. I think he can just go kill him. The one thing he has to watch out for, of course, are these disruptor hits.
Ooh, that one's pretty good. Gets 5 Marines there and maybe even a Ghost. But, I mean, this Bio Ball for Ryung is still really, really potent. That's a lot of Medivacs. I'm not liking this fight here for Zoun, and that's going to be GG. And Ryung coming through with an upset there in game number 1 with some excellent decision-making. I mean, we were talking about that Widowmine drop coming into the natural expansion of Zoun at a very awkward timing, and sometimes those awkward timings, they pay off because you're not anticipating it. It's really so hard. It's so hard to be on top of your mini-map all the time, especially when there's a potential attack coming into your third base. Really smart play from Ryung.
Oh, really? That was like very impressive. Though I liked how he did basically the whole thing. The like initial push I wasn't a super fan of, but even just the 3 barracks opener, kind of giving him some stability in the early game. That later Widowmine drop, as you mentioned, he macroed very well. He postured and then did the late Widowmine drop, which I love. It's Ryung showed a great strat there, great execution, looked very, very strong.
I think he's prepared really well for this match. I mean, we talked about this earlier in terms of probably the best bet for him is because Zoun usually plays these styles where he delays his upgrades to get for safety effectively and to avoid taking harassment damage early. You want to hit that critical biomass, and he delayed the second eBay. He never got an armory. He just focused on macro, 3 early racks, fast third CC, and he had an overwhelming amount of bio there. I'm interested in seeing how Zoun is going to try and adjust to that because, well, it's a tough play style to beat the way that Zoun typically plays. I mean, I think he just has to completely shut down any harassment that comes in.
Yeah, and, well, the harassment hurt, but honestly, that was his mistake to attack there. That was a sick arc that Ryung had. He was ready for it, and Zoun still attacked. I don't see any reason for that. He can actually pull back, add different forms of splash, and have a better fight later.
All right, here we go. Set number 2 on 2,000 Atmospheres.
Alpha X Zoun. Team GP Ryung.
And this is one of those maps that a huge bio timing at a third base can be very hard to stop for the Protoss. I mean, the more natural expansion there for the Protoss is the third that's kind of towards your Terran opponent, and there are 2 chokes, but there's dead airspace for Vikings if a player does decide to go for Colossus, as we probably anticipate Zoun to do. And you can get a really good arc if you come in from 2 sides there as well. So this, I'm kind of liking this for Ryung, given the playstyle that he showed in game number 1.
Sure. Do you think he's going to open again like this? Like another bio-heavy type of play?
I think it's going to be bio-heavy. I think pretty much no matter what. I think that plays not only to Ryung's strengths, but also the stylistic weakness of Zoun's play styles.
Sure.
Because, again, he's really effective typically at shutting down early harassment in an area that Terran players, they usually try to eke out some kind of advantage by getting probe kills or getting some critical unit kills like Stalkers or Sentries in the early game. And I mean, if no harassment comes in, or if you do take damage, as we saw Ryung was able to execute in game number 1, then suddenly you just have a lot of unupgraded gateway units and just a very small number of key units such as Colossi or Disruptors. And when you don't have that splash damage against a Terran Bio Ball, it can be a really scary time as you try to get those critical upgrades up. So
no, you definitely do need to have that splash damage.
Oh man, even the probe going down there.
I think that Zoun, though, like I was mentioning before we started, I think that game it's on him. Like Ryung played well, but there was no need for that attack. He was like, I would say slightly behind for sure, but like, he wasn't so behind that it's like, I have to kill him right now. Like, I think if he starts producing disruptors, he makes sure he has forges going, slowly but surely takes a 4th base, that type of thing. Terrans have a very hard time dealing with more and more and more splash, right? Once you get to 3 different sources of splash damage, engaging with any of these bio-heavy armies like what Ryung had is incredibly difficult.
That's one of the reasons why I really liked the way that Ryung went for an early Ghost Academy as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Because, I mean, EMP, it doesn't do true damage, it doesn't do whole damage against the Protoss army, but
it feels true when you get hit by one.
It feels true as a Protoss player when you get hit by an EMP. And Ryung coming in now with the Reaper, getting some good harassment. Zoun actually caught off guard surprisingly here. You never want to lose probes with this early Reaper, and you might lose 2 of them and a lot of mining time.
I tell you, to kill 2 probes and scout the Stargate and that lost mining time, dude, Zoun is not playing his best StarCraft right now.
He's not going to catch this Reaper.
No, that thing just gets out.
Wow.
That's the worst feeling in the whole world.
He's going to try and get it with the 2nd Adept, and I do like this maneuver there, but that Reaper is going to take 2 shots to go down with its healing, and I don't think he's going to get it with the Adept. I mean, that's painful. Full scout and 2 probes, and a probe mines something close to like 50 minerals a minute, so you pull 8 of them to try and deal with the Reaper for 5+ seconds. That's a pretty big deal.
It certainly is.
My goodness.
Wow, he's playing a very nice game so far. It is an Oracle opener here into Phoenix. See what he can get done with this Oracle. Not sure of the actual positioning of units in the main base here. Shay goes up the ramp, will get canceled. I like the mine behind the barracks, really nicely placed.
Yeah, he is going to get 1 SCV. Maybe. It's always scary coming in as a Protoss player and scouting that factory because you know somewhere there's a Widow Mine hidden in a mineral line or
and all the different places you can hide these things. It's amazing to see where people end up finding places to hide things. You know, like whether it's under SCVs that are mining or, you know, behind the 3D part of the animation. We actually had someone in, I think it was ASL semi-recently, hide a High Templar under where the mini-map looks like it is in the bottom left corner.
Oh, wow.
Because he was in the bottom left spawn, he killed a bunch of units with it. I'm like, wow. I mean, people are so creative with these moves.
Yeah, he's trying to poke and prod. And
yeah, he's trying to figure out where it is. I don't know where it is either, actually.
It's right there in the those three
there it
patches.
is.
Yeah, it's easy to see when the SCVs pull away, but I mean, even looking at the color scheme right there.
Yeah.
It's really tough with the SCVs mining right on top of it. As a Protoss player, you gotta poke in and see that little tracking beam, and it takes a lot of finesse because if you're like a couple milliseconds late on pulling that Oracle back, it's gone. And
well, losing the first Oracle it's just such an unforgivable offense. You know?
Absolutely.
It's like never worth it for an extra kill or something to lose the Oracle. It's just such a useful unit as the game goes on.
Especially in these kind of situations where you're playing against a Terran player that historically is very good with multi-pronged attacks and with drops. I mean, as the Phoenix player, you want to be able to shut down all of that, and the Oracle gives you so much information on your opponent's positioning, and it's going to get bopped by a Widow Mine. Yep. Always scary coming to these bases.
Yeah. That's too bad, too. It's a great place to be sitting back there with the Oracle. You have so many different angles to come in from, but does end up losing it. The Reaper's back. Okay, finally he'll go down.
6-minute Reaper, I mean. I'd be interested in learning what the lifespan is on the average Reaper in a GSL game PvT. I don't think it's very long.
No,
6 minutes. That's an old man Reaper right there.
All right, Command Center is on the way before the 3rd CC, and it is Colossus Tech. So very stable, careful play here from Zoun so far.
This is more up his alley. The Void Ray thing was kind of an interesting decision that I wasn't really anticipating. And Phoenix in a Colossus like this is more Zoun's playstyle in macro PvT.
Yeah.
Usually do this, take a late 3rd base, get all of your gateways up, and then go into 1 or 2 forge upgrades. And that gives you a pretty good position against an aggressive Terran player because the bulk of your army is so large. And with Phoenix's, you're able to shut down so many different types of harass that the Terran player goes for. And Ryung, again, in this situation is kind of going for the same style. I believe we have just 1 engineering bay. Yeah, he got +1. He's going for +1 armor now as well. And it looks like, again, he's going to be trying to hit 1 big timing with just overwhelming macro. Lots of bio units, potentially even a Ghost Academy once that 3rd base is done. And I like this. I like this a lot.
It's very similar to before. And, like, the thing is, I think if Zoun sits back a little bit, because, like, for instance, this particular supply spike that we see for Ryung, this is pretty normal in the matchup, but you have splash damage by now, right? And, you know, as that Nexus gets up and you start to add on more of your gateways, you can start to catch up on that. But as long as you sit back somewhat defensively and keep active with something like these Phoenixes, I do think it's hard, bordering on suicidal for Terran to try to kill you in this position. You know, like,
I agree.
If Zoun sits back, right, there's shield batteries and all that, yeah, I think it's really tough.
And I think that goes back to the critical mistake that he made in the last game. It could be that because he went for Void Race, he felt like he kind of had to make a timing because...
Oh, okay. They just
that's
don't
a big
scale
investment, and they don't scale, and you have 3 of them. And maybe he also underestimated Ryung because, again, this guy's been out of the game for a long time.
Yeah,
He's trying to reestablish himself here in GSL SuperTournament in 2021 after almost a 3-year hiatus.
Yeah.
But you're absolutely right. Right now, this game for Zoun, you should just be looking to get any damage you can with the Phoenixes and avoid any damage back at home and just try to get to that maxed army with Templar Archives. I mean, he's even going into, I believe it's second robotics facility now.
Yeah, I like to see that. Like, he's just kind of filling out everything that he needs right now, slowly but surely getting his upgrades, right? He's down a couple upgrades, but I don't think it's the end of the world when you have splash damage. That doesn't care as much about it.
Especially Disruptors and Templar when those come in, because that does not scale with upgrades. It's all...
They don't
it's
care
all
about
in the
upgrades
punch.
at all. But yeah, he's just kind of sitting back. All right, we have Disruptors being made. Blink on the way. There are Ghosts coming out for Ryung.
He's going to try and hit his timing.
Oh, I think that this is not the right time to attack.
For Zoun, you mean?
Yeah.
I think he was just aware that there was a small clump of bio there because he kept poking at that watchtower with his Phoenixes, and Ryung has just kind of been trying to exert map control, like having a presence on that side of the map for a while. And I mean, he got a couple Marauders and Marines for pretty much nothing there. But yeah, you're right. Absolutely, do not commit to an attack here because Ryung is going to be maxed very soon with Ghosts, and he's going to be the one trying to kill you. You want any defender's advantage you can get. I mean, there still isn't an armory up for Ryung.
That's what I'm afraid about, right? And like, if you can identify that he doesn't even have an armory, it's such an easy call to just sit there and turtle.
Yeah, this
right?
is...
Get out Disruptors. Like, he has 2 Robos. He is pumping out 2 Robo Disruptors. But if you just kind of like make defense and slowly expand, Ryung isn't going to have a late game. He has to get some damage relatively soon here.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, we just now see the second engineering bay and armory going down as Ryung approaches max. And that's not gearing too much for the late game. It's kind of a plan B because his goal is to end the game right now with this push on Zoun. And this 4th base, it's going to be so hard to defend.
I think I don't think you're going to be able to quite defend that. He does come out. Let's see. He sieges up. That's a very healthy amount of siege tanks back there, and I really do like that. We haven't really talked about that yet, but definitely helpful, especially in this position. It can shell anything that comes too close on that side.
And the Disruptors, they want to move forward to be able to make connections, and the siege tanks are just completely zoning them out. And yes, Zoun did go for 5 Phoenixes, but he has no air control. The Vikings have the range, and they have Marines under him. This is a really tough position. I think you're right. He's going to have to sack this 4th base. If he commits to a defense here, it's going to be the nail in the coffin, I feel like.
You know, we were being kind of hard on the fact that he doesn't have an armory, but the more I'm looking at this composition, like the amount of tanks he's making and stuff, I think maybe it just doesn't quite fit.
2 Disruptors going down to that siege tank shot. A 3rd one, he's down to 1 Disruptor. That is so much of his splash.
This composition that he has, the way he's gotten into it, this is really beautiful from Ryung.
Yeah, he's choosing to sacrifice certain late game tech advantages for 1 critical timing. And I mean, before the series we were talking about this, if he hits it, if he hits this kind of timing against Zoun, it can be so hard to disperse. And Zoun, he's already lost almost half of his splash damage. He has no Templar. He only has 2 Disruptors now. And once the fight commences, the Vikings, they're going to deal with the Colossi in seconds.
And now the siege tank's coming up and sieging. This forward position, I think this is how Zoun, I think, is going to be able to live a bit longer here. Maybe even break this. Well, not like that. Not just moving those forward. I think he needs to actually come in. Like, we see him just kind of missing Disruptor shots and everything. But, oh my God. Ryung just going into the main base with that drop now.
This is beautiful play.
It really is.
I mean, this entrenched position is so hard to break in and of itself, and then going for the production of the Protoss player as well. I mean, he's just completely dominating this area of the map, and it's Zoun's base.
Well, he's going to have to go here eventually. Uses the overcharge, a ton of damage being put out. Oh my god, he does have a flank coming in, but it's a little bit late here. Insane disruptor shot there as well. The Immortal getting forward, and the flank will help him to eventually clean this up, but he is taking damage in his main.
Yeah, that was a really, really great flank there by Zoun. I mean, he was able to clean up that very expensive army from the Terran player, but at the same time, I mean, Ryung, he took out a lot of production. He killed maybe only 6 probes, but keep in mind the 4th base is also delayed by now. I mean, I think it's just now getting set up there in the bottom right corner of the map, and Ryung, he does have a lot of expensive units to replenish, but I don't think the nail's in the coffin just yet.
Well, I love that during this push, he set up for Liberator range.
Oh,
that's like such a smooth transition, and that's going to be so incredibly useful here.
Wow, what a move coming in again with these medevacs as well.
Yeah, EMPing on top of these Stalkers, moving forward, trying to pick them up. Some Zealots do get warped in, but not enough as Ryung mows them down.
Yeah, this is actually a really smart trade too, because I think he got like 5 or 6 Stalkers, I want to say. And he's just trading bio. He's not trading the critical Starport units, the medevacs, and he might even get the Robo Bay. No, not quite. Only the shields, but oh, that hurts. He's gonna get the other one too.
Oh man,
that makes it painful.
Yeah.
But I like the idea there. He was trying to lower the Stalker count because he knows that Zoun is investing a lot more in high power units. He's getting Archons, he's getting Zealots, he's getting Colossi, he's getting Disruptors, and none of those are good against Liberators.
Well, he's got a rather large army. He's coming from the other side, so that's really smart.
That was a brilliant recall right there on the right side.
Does stand with the rest of his army under those liberation zones, stemming forward now, heading off the rest of the army with those Liberators.
He has 4 more coming out. I don't see any way. Zoun has 52 probes right now. His main is almost mined out. I don't see him ever getting the production up to compete with these Liberators.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think Ryung has basically taken this game at this point. You can see there's just not a whole lot left for him. The amount of Liberators are out, like this transition into the Liberators after that very strong first push where he's skipping out on starting 2-2, but instead focusing on siege tanks and Vikings and Ghosts. And then to go Mass Liberator while getting his upgrades. I love this. This is so handsome.
This is the one vulnerability, though, is this flank, but that has so many Liberators sieging up. Some good connections there for the Disruptors, but things are just getting mowed down right now. And Zoun, he's trading about as best as he can get. He's going to clean up the Liberators here. But at the end of the day, I mean, Ryung is still at 40 supply.
Yeah, I mean, that was as good an engage as you can ever really hope for in this situation. But I think Ryung is fine. He's on 5 base during all this. Dude, this is a new Ryung. Seriously, this is the best TVP I've seen from him in so many years.
And Zoun now kind of trying to ride this momentum for that one clean fight. I mean, the past 2 main battles, his engagements have been perfect, but he has suffered. Oh, that's a big Disruptor shot coming in, but it gets sniped at the last second. The second shot gets 2 more Ghosts. But man, losing these critical Disruptors right here is Liberators are starting to come out again. Oh man, he's got to break this position right now, I think.
Well, he might be able to do it. He pushes forward so strongly. He does end up getting all of those Liberators, but the Marauders in this spread are taking down so much. Very little left over. Another Liberator comes up and sieges, and he has to back up.
And Zoun, I think, is kind of on his last breath right now. I'm not sure he was considering pro production during all of that. He's been hovering at about 40 workers this entire time. He's effectively just putting everything on the table. He recognizes that he needs to end this game right now. Ryung almost double the worker lead plus mules. You got to end this game if you're Zoun, and he's going to try and go for one more engagement. This is his opportunity.
Yeah, putting out those Disruptor balls to try to keep him kind of zoned back, but he is going to have to back up here until he has more.
Yeah, this is such a tough fight for Zoun to take. I mean, he's down 30 army supply right now. That's 50% more army for Ryung, and there are units that are very tough to push into. I mean, it's Liberators and Widow Mines, and those are 2 fantastic units at zoning out, but he's doing a good job of finding these cheeky little angles where the Liberators are not quite in position and they have to unsiege and re-siege and lose critical damage. But I'm not sure he's going to be able to break Ryung. I mean, this production is insane. He's almost maxed again.
Yeah. I mean, Ryung is killing it, man. Look at the upgrades, too. It's 3-2 with +1 air against just +1 from Zoun. Yeah. Zoun is in such a terrible position here. Now Ryung going to send off some units to the side and some medevacs. And wherever that lands, it's going to get damage.
Even macro CC is going down for Ryung right now as he knows that he has this advantage. I think he's going up to another orbital over here by the third base. And Zoun, I mean, he's trying to make these connections, but those Liberators, they're so tough to push into. And I think they even have the range. He got that transition early, right?
Yeah. Oh, no, he got it right when they were first being made. He was getting it.
My goodness.
All right, a little bit of a defense here. Looks like he is going to go ahead and recall against a very small draw. Kind of shows you the state of this game right now. Ryung absolutely dominating.
Yeah, I feel like Zoun needs to pull one more miracle fight out of his hat. I mean, it feels like he has kind of done that twice, winning decisive battles. But he suffered so much damage in the meantime. I mean, in the main base and losing probes across the map, losing his fourth expansion, and the snowball effect right now for Ryung. I mean, we talked about him sacrificing all of those key upgrades early, but he's got all of them now, and his macro is absurd.
He's going to be able to take down absolutely everything. It looks like a counterattack, a little bit of a base trade, but it's hard to imagine Ryung not being able to come out on top of this.
Yeah, the Liberators even coming back, and those are some of the hardest units to break into a main base and kill because of the way that SimCity advantages them. I mean, that's only a handful of Stalkers. I think maybe 8 we have in that army. We almost have more Liberators than Stalkers here. This army is just going to go, it's just going to get evaporated.
We're just going to have to see a GG. There is absolutely no way left. His army completely stuck on the side while he loses his main base.
Yeah, this is Ryung's game right now, man, and really turning the series on its head and subverting all expectations, coming up 2-0 right now in this best of 5, and Zoun, he's got to be shaking his boots, man. I mean, coming in the favorites this map, in Ryung whipping out some incredible TVP play styles. I'm loving what we're seeing from him. This is really great play.
I am such a fan of what we're seeing from Ryung. Like, yeah, at first it felt all-in-ish, but I want to recalibrate what I was saying. I think he was just choosing to spend his resources elsewhere and recognizing that he's not going to have 2-2 exactly for the timing, and that's not even the damage anyways. The actual crux of the attack is the fact that he has a big enough army that you have to play defensively, and then he sets up positional siege tanks with Vikings, utilizing the terrain of the map, and just abuses the hell out of your fourth base. It was, and like while that was going on, he's like, all right, Fusion Core and second starport, let's go Liberators, because you don't want to go siege tanks all game long. You know, that's like, they're good for that first time and then much weaker. I love it. I think that Ryung is playing some masterful TVP. I mean, when he kind of left the scene for a while, I never thought I'd say that. That was always his weak matchup, but here he is.
And he's dominating. I think we're going to see more of this playstyle from him, and I don't really know what Zoun is going to do to try and adjust to it, because it is a really tough playstyle to counter. It's just rock solid. I feel like he's got to take fights in a way where, I mean, the battles that he took, they were decisive, they were great wins, but he took so much damage elsewhere, you know, and he's gotta figure a way to figure it out as we go here to set 3 on Berlingrad. Zoun down 2-0.
Alpha X, Zoun.
Really got his work cut out for him here.
Team GP, Ryung.
Tell ya, this is just, I mean, I thought this match would be one-sided, but I never in a million years would have thought it would be in this direction. Zoun has been so strong for the past year and a half. But here Ryung is, and I mean, his TVP looks so on point.
Style is. It's so good to have an audience back here in the studio.
Thanks for coming down, guys in the audience. Appreciate it.
I really like what we're seeing about Ryung. I mean, this feels like he did his research at home, and he kind of devised the play style that is the best against Zoun. And he's throwing another wrench, and this is such a frustrating thing for the Protoss player, because the indirect damage of the engineering bay, it's really not that much, but when it throws off your opening build order, I mean, you want to be able to execute cleanly. You want to do what you practiced hundreds and hundreds of times over the past couple of weeks leading into this match, but these NG bays, I mean, they just mess up all of the math coming into your build, and when you're already down 0-2, it's kind of a tilting effect, really. It's so tough to deal with, and I think you might even throw another second one down, but no, not this time. A little bit of mercy there.
Yeah. But yeah, it's definitely true. Like, you play so many practice games, right? And I mean, I hope these guys are playing practice games against the offensive eBays, because otherwise you're like, yeah, when my Oracle gets there, here's exactly what he has or whatever, right? And when that goes down, suddenly everything gets pushed back into a weird direction. And it's, I mean, it slows Terran a little bit as well, but it definitely is highly annoying for you.
And it's always better when you're the one that's executing something like an engineering bay, because there's no guessing game for you. You know what's going to happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
You've already prepared the build behind it. You know exactly where you're going to be at, and the Protoss is often
any
on
build
the
like
back
that.
foot.
Anytime you can dictate something like that, that's just a strong move. There's like no two ways about it. Like, if you decide, okay, I'm going to do this because 99% of games, PVTs are Nexus, like right before core or right after core. So the fact that you can do that and be prepared, and I'm sure Ryung has, you know, obviously he's doing it every game, so he knows all the kind of timings and how everything adjusts. So really nice.
Zoun making a bit of an adjustment here, opening Stargate the first 2 games and now going into Twilight Council, but this isn't something completely otherworldly for him. We've seen in a lot of macro games Zoun in the past couple of months going into Blink Stalkers, really high gateway account, and eventually into Disruptors. And this Adept, actually, man, that's some great stutter step micro there from Ryung.
Yeah, it's too bad the high ground came.
Yeah, those Marines, they lost like no momentum.
Some great moves. I love that he's hiding in a bush and everything. You can see his mastery of the terrain once again. Yeah,
Ryung's one of those, I mean, you said it yourself, like, he's a very technical player. Like, those cheeky moves, he's very good at them. And I think from Zoun, what we're going to try and see here is we're going to see a heavy stalker count, a lot of gateways. We're eventually going to see a Robo Bay go down and Disruptors into a third base. And I think he's going to try and catch Ryung going for one of those bio pushes with not too many upgrades and kind of overwhelm it with Blink Stalkers and Disruptors. I mean, if I'm Zoun, if I'm putting myself in that shoe, those shoes, I know this is a bit of a stretch because it's a couple minutes down the line, but I certainly do think that's his game plan, because really the way that Ryung is playing, it's just rock solid in terms of the macro that he has. And these early bio counts that he's getting up are way higher than you would anticipate from a Terran player, because usually they're getting a second engineering bay, or they're going for early Widowmine drops, or some kind of Banshees or something. But I like the stylistic choice here from Zoun. He's really trying to make the adjustment that he needs to deal with this. And actually, we do have Widowmines coming in quite early for Ryung, so him making some adjustments himself.
Yeah, let's see if that can actually kind of catch him off guard. He has not caught wind of it as of yet. He's microing his Stalkers a bit.
Yeah, and he's doing this all the way across the map, which makes me wonder how much he's going to have at home to deal. Actually, has 2 shield batteries as well.
Look, the fact that Ryung is pushing during this and he's microing against it, oh my god. Well, that's
almost game.
That is almost game. Especially on this opener. Like, you're doing a Blink opener and you take this much damage, 14 probes. That's really bad.
The main strength of Blink openers, unless you're going for some kind of crazy timing attack, is that you're typically not going to take this kind of damage. You know, like, you have Blink Stalkers.
Yeah. Well, especially the opener that he has. This is a 3-gate Prism. So, like, this is one that you can pin your opponent with, you can put pressure on, but it's generally not one that you'll kill with. You'll normally go 4 gates if it's, like, a kill move.
Right.
But here, it's like he was just kind of microing against the Marines, wasn't really watching, and the drop got him. And Ryung set that up, too.
Yeah.
He just right-clicked his Marines onto those Stalkers so that there would be micro, there would be a tension there, and he lost 3 Marines for that, but got 15 probes. Because that's what Zoun was looking at. Beautifully done.
I'm loving what we're seeing out of Ryung. This is like a completely new Ryung that we're seeing right now.
All I want to do right now is watch Ryung and Creator play each other. This is 2012 all over again, okay?
Zoun's going to try and find a little bit of damage, but
that's
Stalker drops are the definition of a little bit of damage, because the best case scenario is like 1 or 2 SCVs. We'll see.
Maybe get some behind the mineral line. Like,
yeah. You got 3. That's more than I was anticipating.
Okay. Tanks, though, in position. Looks like we do have another mine drop headed out.
20 supply right now.
Hallucinated Phoenix looking for the drop. That's so funny.
Well, he has a sentry count early, but Oh, he's actually going to get it. I had kind of a misstep there coming in after getting spotted by the Phoenix. I mean, we saw Creator do this so well against Dark and his play, where whenever those Void Rays that were looking for hatcheries got spotted, he would just immediately pull them back.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
A little bit of a misstep there.
And Ryung, we already saw that from him today as well, where he was looking for drops on the sides, runs into a pylon, turns around. Kill the pylon, get out of there. Make him re-scout that area.
2 more racks going down. Oh man, he's really gunning for these drops. That's brave too against the Blinkstalker pressure that Zoun is coming out with.
Right now, that third Nexus as well as third Command Center are on the way. Disruptors coming up. Charge on the way here as well. Oh, that's cute.
Oh, he didn't get it.
Oh, he didn't get it? That's why you got to armor shred it right as you're... You would have gotten it there, right? Damn.
That was a key move though, and again, here we go. He's stimming in. Focus on my units. Don't look at your main base. Let this drop get in, and these Stalkers are running down. And that's 2 medevacs full of Stim Marines and Marauders. And oh, that was a sick shot there by Zoun, but this damage in the main base, 12 more probes going down, and he might even get the pylons on these gateways here. I don't know how much more production Zoun has. This is disastrous.
Yeah, Zoun is dead, man. That's actually the end of the series. A 3-0, a domination from Ryung. This guy is from the very beginning of GSL, disappeared for a long time, and now his worst matchup is amazing. I am so excited for the future of Ryung right now.
This is just brilliant tactical play by Ryung. I mean, he is going to lose these 2 siege tanks here. It might not be game over right now, as Zoun is going to try and break out. He does snipe one of the siege tanks, but that was an insane armor shred. Those Stalkers just melting right now, and a trade that should have been overwhelmingly favoring Zoun gets traded almost evenly there. I mean, Zoun, like, losing all of these probes, it's been like 25. You do not want to be losing gateway units right now. You need every single army unit that you can muster, because the next push is going to be coming, and it is going to be devastating if you're not prepared for it.
It's going to be so big, truly. This is all down to the Disruptors. What can the Disruptors do? If he gets really juicy hits, the game goes on. If he doesn't, he's gonna be in a terrible spot. He's gonna die.
I'm not sure what Zoun can do right now besides pray for those Disruptor hits. He's gonna go for a drop maybe, or just microing them a little bit better right there. I wouldn't mind seeing Speed Prism on that as well to try and get like maybe some kind of flank with the Disruptor shots too.
He'd have to repower his
Oh yeah, that's right. All those
that and the Templar Archives are both naked right now, unable to do anything.
But I feel like what you said was exactly right. He needs to get money shots with these Disruptors to have a chance of coming back into this game. I mean, he's 40 army supply down almost at this point.
Well, the Disruptor is the ultimate comeback unit.
Yeah.
You know, that's the one unit that can really turn a game on its head if you get that lucky shot.
He's actually going to go into Thermal Lance right here. So I guess Zoun right now, his game plan is going to be try to claw back into this by surviving and maybe keep Ryung on the back foot with these Disruptor drops. Because his army will scale very well into the late game, but at the same time, Ryung is adding the Ghost Academy again. He's even anticipating, I think, the Colossus transition going into Vikings, and that is a huge army.
Yeah, he is up 40 army supply right now, which is pretty crazy. He's actually zoning this out. Oh god, there's Vikings there. Just put a Viking on it.
Yeah.
Oh, I just want to see him right-click one Viking on that, make it get recalled.
Just look at the size of these armies. There's only one Disruptor here on the high ground, and Ryung knows that the other one's in the back. And again, siege tanks, they're so good at zoning out Disruptors, and Ryung, as we saw in the previous game, is so patient with those pushes too. Unless he oversteps here, I think this fight's going to go his way. Trying to get a little bit cheeky there with the micro.
Does pick off a couple of Marauders there, so not too bad of a hit. Needs a lot more like that, though.
Yeah.
Still a 24 supply advantage right now in army for Ryung. Big group of charge lots off at the side. Look at this. Ryung pulls back. Oh, this is interesting. What do you think about this pullback? I like it.
I think he's waiting for the ghosts. I don't believe he has any in his army right now. And adding EMP to this, army is
same type of army too. He's got like 5, 6 siege tanks. Well, not anymore, but you know, he's made a big group of siege tanks. He did actually go the armory quicker this game, but getting the ghosts, has the Vikings. He has this fantastic army on him right now. Definitely able to put some pressure onto Zoun, but Zoun is, I mean, I think he's stabilized reasonably well for how bad this was earlier on.
Yeah, that push coming into the natural was very, very scary. I'm not sure exactly what it was by Ryung that was trying to, made him decide to pull back. Maybe he had some kind of wind of those zealot flanks coming in as this Liberator gets gunned down right there. But I mean, a 200 supply Ryung army, you know that Zoun is not going to be maxed at this point, and this is your time to go and try to get some big money shots, and that's about 10 supply of bio going down. And those tanks are very low.
Oh my gosh. Zoun really busting out some beautiful moves here. Harassing that third base from the side as well. Fourth base is up for Ryung now. Little stim forward here, catching the army as it's walking out.
I'm starting to really like this army for Zoun, though. It feels like he's kind of getting all of the pieces that he needs to actually engage this Terran force that was just a few minutes ago looking almost insurmountable. And this DT transition as well. I mean, talk about comeback mechanic units. Disruptor shots and DTs are about the best way to claw back into any single game.
Pop some DTs into a mineral line, and you are going to be cashing in right there. No turret there yet.
No.
All right, Planetary almost done as these Zealots come up.
You will get some SCVs here, but honestly, Ryung right now, he's sitting pretty already at 60 plus.
Yeah, Ryung having to pull back. Zoun is actually, he's doing such a good job here.
Yeah, his army movement has been on point. Everything's unsieged right now. If you can catch Ryung unsieged like he did those Liberators, I mean, picking any of these critical units off, Ryung, with his army composition, he needs key EMPs, he needs the siege tanks and the Liberators when he does get some more to have good landed shots. But, I mean, Zoun, like, he's just, anytime that Ryung is caught out of position, he's diving in, he's picking off a couple of units, and over the course of the past few minutes, he's killed so much, and he's almost equalized this on the army front, and he might even be coming in here with this flank.
Well, I mean, he's very, very clumped here. That, ooh, the Disruptor does get targeted down, so the Disruptor hit's not any good so far.
Yeah, this is pretty ambitious pushing up, though. Disruptors on the high ground are pretty scary to deal with at times, and oh, that Observer was giving him so much information. Really liking this tactical play here by Zoun, but Ryung at the same time, I mean, this push is not over yet. It's all on these Disruptor shots, because without those Disruptors in the equation, this Terran army is going to overwhelm him.
Two Disruptor balls going out, but looks like he's going to stim forward a bit. A couple siege tanks up at the front. Put some damage down on those Disruptors, looks like. Oh, doesn't quite reach it with that second Disruptor ball.
Yeah, and those batteries coming in clutch, too. I mean, you do not want those Disruptors to go down against siege tanks. Nice little split there, and he is aware of the DTs now. Would like to see some turrets go down at home in the meantime, and Ryung right now kind of cementing himself in this position.
Wow, so difficult to push through the Liberators coming up and sieging in front of those siege tanks. Still has some ghosts in here, plenty of bio as well. As the DTs pop out, they just go down.
Yeah, this is such an entrenched position.
He even picks out the Disruptor as it comes around now.
Yeah, but I love this. I mean, the one thing that Ryung has been kind of his flaw so far, these engagements, has been being caught out of position with the Liberators, and Zoun knows that he's coming in again with a beautiful flank, getting the damaged tanks going down. Really good connections here as the Disruptors are also connecting there at the natural. No, not quite, but he is going to clean this up.
Yeah, very nicely done. And suddenly Ryung's army supply falls below Zoun's for what feels like the first time in the entire game. Really fantastically done. You know, obviously that is a part of the weakness. Siege tank and Liberator-based armies. I mean, if you can flank them, if you can come in from the angle that's wrong for Terran, it's very, like, they fight so much weaker. Wow. Zoun continues to impress this game.
His movement with his army has been pretty much impeccable. I mean, every single time one of these fights comes down against siege tanks and Liberators, we talk so much about how hard it is to attack into this, and is he going to get that planetary fortress for those DTs? Oh, I love this so much.
Nice.
This is a great transition. I mean, denying any kind of expansion. Like Terran, they have mules, which are great, but the one problem with mules is that you're mining your bases a lot faster. You need to secure those expansions to be able to keep going, and be able to deny the fifth base, he might eventually be able to starve Ryung out here.
Yeah, Ryung definitely getting stuck in his base a bit more this game. Liberators go siege up, so a little bit hard for him to continue to push. It's good positioning and repositioning going on.
Oh,
Oh, no.
my God.
Oh, no.
That's
it's
another
going down.
planetary going down. Man, Zoun has just every advantage that he can take. He's finding the opportunity to take it. And he's kind of coming back to the jaws of death to make this a competitive game.
Yeah, Ryung sieging up all over this army, but Zoun easy peasy walks out. They are grinding down the army as he does so. Continue to gain more and more advantages. And even has expanded to that top right. So now Zoun on 5 bases against a Ryung that's like barely 3.
Yeah, Zoun is really showing his strengths as a player in this matchup with completely superior army movement. I mean, Ryung keeps assembling these almost death ball armies that are so tough to engage into, and Zoun is just consistently finding the one angle that he can where Ryung is caught off guard, and there you go again. I mean, it's not a lot of damage except that big disruptor shot, but you just got to keep chipping away, and even that command center is going to burn down. I love these DT plays, and he's going to go into the natural too.
Yeah, this looks like it's actually going to end in that other direction. Ryung not going to 3-0 here.
Wow. Zoun with one of the best PBT comebacks I think we've seen in a long time. I mean, we thought it was over with the Widow Mine drops.
Yeah.
Zoun lost almost a third of his probes in the early game, and that's so hard to come back from, but just through sheer superior fights and engagements, he just like came back to the jaws of death, and that's, I mean, a testament to why he is one of the best Protoss players in Korea right now.
Yeah, he really kept his cool there. And it was awesome to see him take some of those fights, come around with those flanks that were so important. I think Ryung put out a beautiful game, and the flanks just barely held everything he was doing. But that makes me a little bit nervous now, since we saw Ryung end up losing from that type of position where he killed that many probes, even when he had these strong pushes going. What if Zoun tightens his defense a little bit and doesn't lose those probes? Does Ryung's push have a real chance of finishing the game anymore?
I don't think that it does. I think at that point, the pressure, it can be tough to deal with. But, I mean, even if Ryung gets to that Death Ball army with Ghosts, with Liberators, with Siege Tanks, I mean, as long as Zoun is also happily able to macro and get his third base up and not take any damage and get all of his splash, it kind of becomes an even game. And oftentimes it also goes to positioning, which Zoun has just shown to be the superior player. I mean, even in the games that he lost, it felt like he was getting, I want to say, disadvantaged from cheeky tactics there by Ryung, you know?
Yeah.
But whenever the fights would happen, the engagements, although he was losing them, he was taking the better fight. He was always finding the best possible opportunity to attack into Ryung. And if he continues to do that and evades any damage in the early game, I feel like he might be able to take this to game 5.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a possibility. And like, he's got to be keen on the fact that Ryung is going to try to like kind of annoy him, bring his attention somewhere else, and then do a drop. He's done that so many times now. Like, even in that mid-game like bio drop in the main, he's like, okay, let's engage here. And then suddenly as Protoss, you're microing your heart out, right? Trying to make a good engagement for yourself. But really, what Ryung wants to do is get a bunch of damage done with a drop. He did that 2 times that game. So if I feel like at this point as Zoun, if he starts to attack any of your units, just look at your minimap. Run your units away, look at your minimap, and you are going to actually be in way better position.
And I think actually we might see him start to prepare for that either with, like, if he goes into Phoenix Colossus play or if he goes into Blink Stalkers, which again are 2 styles of PPT that we see very, very often from Zoun. I wouldn't be surprised if he maybe even tried to metagame this a little bit and posture as if he is going to do those pokes and kind of play into Ryung's hand in terms of, look at me, I might have my attention diverted again, but then at the same time have like 5 or 6 Stalkers or 4 Phoenixes back at home to catch everything off guard. It's kind of interesting, and this is one of those things that makes best of 5s so fun to play, is because it's not only the prep going into the series that matters, but how you adjust to the play styles in those series that determines who's going to be the better player and who's going to advance.
Because I think it was probably pretty hard to prepare for Ryung here. He just hasn't played as much stuff as Zoun lately. So now that he's actually played him a few games and starting to get a hang of it, hopefully Zoun can kind of adjust and bring us to a map 5.
I think we have a good chance of that happening, but at the same time, again, in map number 1 and map number 2, Ryung didn't really find too much damage with those Widow Mine drops. I mean, he did go for the same tactic in terms of diverting Zoun's attention and then going for a drop to get damage done. But in Game 1 and Game 2, the 2 games that he won, he actually did less damage than in Game 3. And
that's true.
Let's see what happens here in Game 4. Zoun versus Ryung. I'm excited.
Alpha X, Zoun. Team GP, Ryung.
You know, you were trying to sell me on this being a really exciting match before we started, and I was just kind of in my own head. I'm like, State doesn't know, he doesn't get it. But, oh, you're definitely, I mean, this is proven to be amazing.
Yeah.
And it's really great to see some level changes coming into the Super Tournament, right? It's has it been like 4 weeks since GSL Finals? Something like that, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, something like that. But, like, for instance, how good Creator looked, and now
Ryung.
how good Ryung looks. It's like these are big surprises kind of coming out of left field of how strong some of these players that were really good 10 years ago but haven't been good as good since. Suddenly they're like having their second renaissance of playing.
It's fantastic.
I love to see. I want the old players to do well.
And keep in mind, I mean, we also have Hero playing later tonight too, and he's kind of looking to make his own resurgence as well.
Yeah.
It's been a really exciting Super Tournament. The storyline of all of these players coming back either from military service or from just a hiatus in competitive play, and then really showing new stuff, but a return to form is so exciting.
It is.
You'd love to see it. Like Ryung, a long time ago, if you've only been following StarCraft 2 for maybe the last 5 or 6 years, because this is a really old esport at this point. We've been doing this for almost 12 years.
Yeah.
Ryung was one of the OGs. He was in Slayers along with players like Boxer, and he was doing really well in games like IPL. In the first iterations of WCS, he was playing in WCS America and getting top 4 finishes. I mean,
He even had some good GSLs at the start too.
yeah. Like, he is an OG, and to have him come back in like this and face Zoun, who's finally coming into his own as a player after 5 or 6 years of pro gaming, it's exciting.
Yeah.
The sky's the limit for these guys, and it's always so fascinating to see these players come back and just completely reinvent themselves, come up with new tricks.
Well, that's such a difficult thing to do. You know, you have this way that you kind of played forever, and the game has changed so much, and to adjust everything and reinvent yourself, that's like you have to unlearn so much that you knew before that worked for you. It's a difficult task, but he's doing a great job, and we've seen that from some other players too. Like DRG's had some wonderful tournaments as well.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, just seeing these older players, you know, just put out this high quality stuff. I love it.
And Ryung is going to be mixing it up here as well. He's actually going for a Hellion drop, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, nice.
I think so.
Yeah,
and I like this. I mean, the first couple of games, he always played 3 racks, slow tech. And, I mean, if you're Zoun, you might be kind of metagaming that a little bit.
Sure. Especially
knowing that Ryung is a player that hasn't been in the game for too long in a competitive space in a very long time. But he is going to be able to scout the reactored Hellions there with the Adept. And Void Ray is going to be the choice again. It's very interesting to me that he's opting for the Voids as opposed to the Phoenixes in this series.
Yeah. Like, I'm not sure exactly what it is. Like, we saw him doing some fancy Micro against Marines. Obviously, a Void Ray kills a medevac dead. You know, it can help out in various fights, but they just don't scale all that well. It's been many, many, many years since we had standard macro Void Ray openers in this matchup, right? The last time I remember was Classic used to do them back on Whirlwind. Like when that was still a map, that 4-player map.
That was a long time ago.
But yeah, it's been so long. So I mean, I'm very interested in it because when I first saw the Void Ray, I thought it might be an all-in, but here, oh god, well there it is.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so low.
I almost kind of regret him moving across the map so fast with the Void Ray because that's when the Terran's going to boost, you know? That's when he's going to boost the medevac right there.
No, you catch it slow, 100% dead.
Yeah, when we saw it go down to like 30% HP right there, that was a boosted medevac.
Yeah.
But 2 Void Rays, I mean, it would be a pretty ballsy move from Ryung to try and go in with another drop at this point.
Yeah.
The cat's kind of out of the bag right now, and that is a very low medevac, but he's kind of posturing as if he wants to go for it anyway.
Oh, even the Adepts are ready here. They're going to be one-shot mines as they come out. Nothing good can come of this.
Yeah, very, very intelligently going home. Yeah, we're actually going up to 3 Voids again for Zoun, and this is really not something that I've seen that often from him. I mean, usually it's been the same kind of play, but with Phoenixes instead of Voids. in a Colossus, but yeah, I feel like...
Is that Void Ray 4 or 3?
That's 3.
Okay.
Pretty sure.
Yeah,
sure.
I think you're right.
But it's just, I don't know. I'm not sold on it yet, but
no,
it's so intriguing. There has to be a good, like, he's doing this at match point. You know, this isn't something that he's throwing off in terms of, like, maybe it'll be quirky and will catch my opponent off guard.
You do have to be careful against 3 Voids.
Yeah, I mean, we saw, like, 6 Marines kind of get shoved around and bullied a little bit in the natural a couple games ago from 3 Voids going after a extractor, refinery, whatever that gas building is called.
Yeah.
Now Zoun getting his Robobay up, probably for Colossus to go along with these Void Rays, I would think.
Yeah, we have a lot of defense there just in case they try to dive in. We see like the Cyclone with a mine. Everything's sitting back, just waiting to see what the move is going to be here from Zoun.
And I feel like Zoun, I mean, the Void Rays, I can see it either going one or two ways for him. And Void Rays, they really don't scale well going into the late game. I mean, like, unless you're playing in, like, Bronze or Silver League, in which case they're crazy overpowered. But if you're playing against somebody like
people can't
Ryung,
macro, it's like an amazing unit. But yeah, like if there's a bunch of stuff that shoots up, Void Rays don't beat that.
Yeah, so I'm wondering if he's going to try and go for a timing when the Void Rays are going to have their most value in the army, or if this is just more of a way of him kind of ensuring that he's not taking too much damage.
Yeah.
And getting to a maxed army with Colossi and with Disruptors and with Storm. Because, I mean, I've seen argument for both of them, but then again, in game number 1, the Void Ray timing really didn't work out for him.
No. Certainly did not. And honestly, like I don't think he has any sort of timing attack. I don't think he has anything that he can really get done here.
That's a lot of Widow Mines, I just want to point out. I think we saw like something between 8 and 10 Widow Mines.
That is a lot. It's almost enough Widow Mines to kill the whole army.
Yeah, if they were right on top of it. Here we go. Oh, the Colossus kind of A-moving in there, but it's been disabled, and those Widow Mines, a lot of them getting shots off, and wow, really sick timing here by Ryung. I wasn't anticipating this, but it's doing huge damage.
Yeah, look at these mines as well, getting some good connections. Not every single one goes off, but almost. He's reduced a lot of the strong units, but he is going to have to get out of here. There's enough left over. The Void Rays end up living through that. One of the Immortals does as well. A new Colossus comes out.
He really reset the gateway count there for Zoun, but I mean, if you're Zoun, you're kind of happy to trade gateway units and for bio as long as you're retaining like the critical units.
Yeah, he lost one critical unit only, really.
Yeah. Right?
But you're definitely right about that. Like, I mean, you can make a living just keeping robo units alive against Terran. You know, that is one of the biggest things to do in this matchup. And I mean, if he's not getting that reset on each attack, then he's doing all right. Now, Ryung does have that third base up in mining. We have a second robo on the way, as well as that Templar Archives. Zoun hasn't taken any actual real damage yet this game, right? Like,
yeah, just the gateway.
He's defended everything, and yeah, I think you're right. I think he doesn't really care about that. He's like, he's not like trying to overwhelm with gateway units. He's getting his tech. He's getting the right units, and I mean, the gateway army will come when it's ready.
I do like this by Ryung, though, because he is kind of playing the same game right now. I mean, like, you look at Zoun right now, and a lot of Protoss players, they'd either be going for that fourth base a little bit faster, or they'd be going into two Forge to get their upgrades, but Ryung is almost like playing Zoun style as Terran, with just really heavy macro, filling out the tech tree, getting Ghosts, getting Vikings, and just having a really powerful army set, and that is a composition that can scale well in the late game against this Protoss army. Which is not always what happens. I mean, the composition that Zoun is going for right now, it's often one that will just have so much more, finesse is the wrong word, but it will be so much more complicated. It has the high-tech units, and it's tough to deal with for the Terran player, but Ryung just kind of playing him in his own game right now. I mean, like, we see Ghost already here at like the 9-minute, 30-second mark, and get that armory as well.
Yeah, and like I like that he's getting the armory and getting those Ghosts down and everything. Here's what I'm afraid of, right? Like, for instance, this game, he's been focusing more heavily on Widow Mines, which is, there's nothing bizarre about that, but a lot of the strength of his pushes so far have had a lot to do with well-positioned siege tanks. Whereas I look at the army that he is making right now, and this is a great army for roaming. This is a great army for, like, baiting units into. But this is not an army that you can attack what Zoun has with.
Yeah, it's an army that doesn't deal very well with disruptors, which is what the second Robo was for, and which is what's so scary. I mean, the main boon for Ryung's army before against Zoun in these fights was the siege tanks or the liberators would zone out the disruptors from getting critical shots on the bio. And it's still doable. And again, is that another Widow Mine draw?
Yeah.
Oh man. He's ready for it though. I think he spotted that with a pylon in the top left.
Yeah, not gonna get too much done right there.
Oh man.
All right, good dodge from Ryung.
Yeah.
But yeah, this army just has a hard time pushing on there. Whereas like the armies that we saw before with the siege tanks, much easier to push forward against disruptors.
Yeah, it's going to be scary. I feel like you need a really big arc so that you can micro properly against the disruptors. Otherwise, it's really tough. And this is a smart way for Zoun to navigate his army composition on this map specifically because, as you see right here in the center, there are so many little tiny choke points that it is tough for the Terran player to get a big arc for their bio army. Disruptors, they do have a lot more value in terms of being able to hit better hits.
Yeah, and Ryung is just about maxed out. And look, I like the 11 Vikings. This can do good stuff for him. Like, I mean, kill off any prisms. It can kill off the Colossi very easily. But he still doesn't really have a way to deal with disruptors. Now, I see the Fusion Core. I see a second starport. So definitely he can get into Liberators. But until he has those out, I think all he can do is what he's doing here, which is kind of roaming about and pretending he's going to attack, but never truly attacking.
He's going to have to find some way to make trades happen that free up supply in an efficient way to get those Liberators out. But as Zoun is approaching max, I think maybe he's seeing Ryung's army composition and is identifying exactly what we're saying, that he just can win a straight-up fight.
Yeah.
And if he goes for a big timing, I'm not sure Ryung is going to be able to defend it unless he has superior army positioning, which can be really tough as the Terran player because you don't have all of the information gathering tools that the Protoss does with their observers, and in this case we don't see it with the oracles, but I mean that's what Zoun's been doing all series long, is finding these great flanks to set up, and Ryung right now I feel like he has to do that himself, and he's kind of getting in a good position for it with this army movement all the way there at 12 o'clock, but that is a really scary Protoss.
Yeah, that's going to be hard to actually gauge. He does have a flank coming up, so that could be very helpful. Some EMPs can go down as well. Oh, decent split. Yeah. Oh, man. Good disruptor hits overall. The flank is doing its job, though, and Ryung got to come in.
There's like no medevacs with this army, though. I mean, like the spread is great, but look at the health bar for these Terran units. They're kind of somehow finding a way of trading.
Oh, no. You just slammed the Vikings versus an incoming disruptor ball. Those are very hard to dodge with.
Yeah.
More Zealots coming up as well. I think Ryung is going to get cleared if he continues this forward.
Yeah, I feel
and
like
the disruptors mostly live. So I think Ryung did a very good job there, but that actually was slightly better, I think, for Zoun.
Yeah, but I mean, even that being said, like, Ryung took that fight and he came out further ahead than I thought he was going to. I thought that was going to be like a devastating loss for him. But right now, if he could try and find a way to stabilize, it's going to be tough against these disruptors. Oh, that shot. Oof. These units are so low, and with only 3 medevacs, it's so expensive to stim them. And I mean, with this count of disruptors, I think we see like maybe 8 or 9 on the field. That's like non-stop shots, and the DTs. That planetary is going down.
Yeah, he's going to have a hard time there, especially considering we're having a bit of an attack during this time. Definitely Ryung is going to have his attention down here. Oh, God. Yeah, the planetary getting sniped. The DTs turning into Archons and being recalled. Love the move. Up come the disruptors now, trying to chunk away pieces of that army.
That's so many disruptors, though.
Yeah.
I feel like the one thing that Ryung needs to deal with that is like a healthy Liberator count, but at the same time, like he doesn't have the economy for it. He has to keep making bio. He's only mining for 3 bases, and the main is mined out. The natural's close to mined out.
It's too bad that he lost that planetary at the goal. He is going to float down this one that was meant to be like his 5th base. Oh, a big disruptor hit right there.
Yeah.
Picks off the Liberator as well.
Zoun is just really showing excellence in these engagements. I mean, he's playing. Once he gets an army like this one, he is out controlling Ryung, and I don't see a path for Ryung. Like the supplies are even, but this army is so much more advanced.
Yeah, no, I think Ryung is dead. I think we are going to be going to a Game 5. Some immaculate play coming out this game from Zoun, really finding his footing here against Ryung. crazy. I thought we were going to have a 3-0 after all those drops that we had.
Yeah, this is
and
super
now we're going to be going
though.
to game 5. Yeah.
It's going to be the third. Almost had more reverse sweeps than I think we have. If it happens, this would be the third reverse sweep in 5 best-of-5s.
That's pretty crazy, actually. Such a rare thing to have happen.
Oh, I love this move by Ryung, though. You gotta pull those disruptors back, and he's gonna try and find some damage here, getting critical units. The Blink Stalkers, though, coming in from the side. He is trading them out pretty well, but good splits on the disruptor shots, but there's just so much Protoss.
Yeah.
And Ryung kind of doing everything he can, but that army by Zoun is so tough to beat, and we're gonna go to an ace match here. Map number 5.
Wow. Wow.
What a series to start things out.
It really is. So back and forth. Zoun seemingly getting stronger throughout. You can see he's really happy with himself after that game.
Yep.
And he should be. He blocked all damage, and he played a slow, steady style. And eventually, well, that's the thing. Like, if you go for the composition that Ryung did, he didn't have any real push power, right? Like, he tried to get a drop off at the beginning, didn't really work. None of his drops worked. Okay, that happens. But the constant Widowmine production, it's like, okay, well, I mean, you're hitting the edges and he's kind of blocking it all, but you're never building to something that will win an actual fight. And even with that big flank, you know, Zoun is able to hold on and save all his disruptors.
Right. I feel like Ryung right now, in a lot of these games that he's been losing, he's setting himself in a position to win. But, I mean, 2 games ago, it was almost exclusively army positioning that cost him the map, and this time it almost felt like it was army composition.
Yeah.
I mean, those Widowmines, they had a chance of winning that fight with better shots, but
yeah. I liked the push that he tried into the third. That was really interesting, where he ran the mines up to the army.
Right.
But yeah, I guess there's a reason why we don't really see pushes like that ever. All right, Glittering Ash is going to be where we decide this match. Who do you think takes it after watching these 4 games?
It's really tough to say. I mean, Zoun right now, it seems like all the momentum is in his favor, and his army movement has been so much better throughout this series. But at the same time, Ryung, I mean, if he can find a way to make another siege tank timing push, one of those slow, methodical pushes, and that set you up in positions to drop in the main base, kill expansions, and that kind of thing, I feel like we'll have an opportunity to win. Yeah. And I would really like to see him play that game again.
I would too. I think that that's the best stuff that he's shown here tonight. I'd love to see him go back to it. And of course with Zoun, I mean, who knows what he's going to end up bringing out here. Has shown, you know, what, 2 Void Ray openers, a Phoenix opener after Oracle, and a Blink opener so far.
All right, we're going to go into game 5 here on Glittering Ashes. Match point, one of these players will advance to the quarterfinals.
Game start. Alpha X, Zoun. Team GP, Ryung.
I'm looking at the layout of the map, and I'm trying to imagine a siege tank push into the 3rd base of Zoun.
It seems too far back, too wide open.
Yeah, this is not 2,000 atmospheres with all that dead air space, and that's tough for Ryung here on Glittering Ashes, because it does feel like that is his best play. I mean, I think we still might see him go for something to that effect, but with how solid Zoun's army movement has been in the mid and the late game, I almost do feel like Ryung has to have one of these decisive pushes at an expansion to have a chance of walking away with this game.
Well, I mean, maybe he has something he hasn't shown us yet as well.
Yeah, that's possible. I mean, he was in the advantage of having won the first 2 games, and that allows you to kind of keep some things in your back pocket.
Yeah, yeah. No eBay block this game, huh? So a little bit different in that regard. So he's got something else up his sleeve. Not sure exactly what that'll be. He's up with the Marine here into the CC.
I guess we'll really be able to tell when we see if it's 2 more barracks going down, or if it's going to be straight into the factory. But it does feel like the kind of delayed upgrade style, more macro focus in terms of just like faster expansions and more Marines and Marauders has been really working for him.
Well, Reaper is on the way after that Marine. See if a slightly delayed Reaper can get a couple kills once again.
Yeah, and it's going to be factory again. So interested in seeing what Ryung has in store for us. In the meantime, I mean, Zoun just kind of macroing up right now, going adept to soccer, very standard stuff. And I want to say if Zoun just keeps playing this really safe style where he doesn't get caught off guard like he did in map number 1 and map number 2, he's going to be in a really good position. And it will be Twilight Council again, so probably Blink Stalkers into Disruptors, or maybe some kind of Blink Stalker timing there at the base of Ryung, but yeah, Reaper will scout this.
We'll have to kind of wait and see the amount of gateways he puts down to try to figure out his intentions here. He went with a 3-gate robo the one time he's opened with this, which is, for a while, that was considered kind of the expand build, like the third base build, but then people started to do it with 2 gates and it seemed to still be fine. Pretty safe against everything, you know, as things generally do. So 3 is kind of that middle of the road one where you're definitely more unit heavy, but that's his style anyways.
Right. Zoun is one of those players that in PvT just likes to have a really large gateway count early, delaying those upgrades and just playing nice and safe. But I mean, that's one of the reasons why that really awkward like Widowmine timing that Ryung did was so effective, is because kind of the time that you're afraid of that kind of thing has passed at that point. And
oh, totally.
I wonder if Ryung will do something similar in this sense. I mean, right now he just does have this Alien scouting across the map, and oh, did he not? There you go. I was going to say, catching that sneaky little probe over there.
Yeah, I wonder if you're looking at that and saying, did he have something sneaky planned? I don't think he did.
Not at this timing.
Yeah.
Get onto this timing. I mean, Zoun, this whole series, he's been building pylons kind of across the map to try and spot the kind of drop. So
that's probably what that was for.
Wouldn't be surprised if he sent even another probe out to try and establish something like that. But Ryung right now just macroing up, Reactor Marines. Finally getting his stem in +1, so maybe there's some timing there. And this Adept is not long for this world.
He'll get picked off. Couldn't quite see as it was up that ramp. Really nice positioning there on the second barracks, hidden away up at the top.
This is 2-gate robo, right? Didn't quite catch the gateway count there.
I see. Yeah, I think you're right, actually. Yeah, that's a robo I see in the main base. So that's a 2-gate robo. So this should be just a quick third nexus. Yeah, I see the probes coming out now. Ryung sees that probe coming out as well. So yeah, this is just kind of the, I'm kind of safe against everything, some good utility as well. And taking that third base pretty quickly.
Yeah, Blink Stalker is very versatile, even allowing him to poke and prod a little bit over here. Kind of trying to find out what Ryung's unit composition is, and seeing all of those Marines has an idea that probably it's going to be some more heavy bio style. I mean, those 2 racks into Starport and Factory right there. Actually, a third one behind the mineral line. I didn't even notice that. I like that Ryung is going back to this. I mean, the harassment options that he was going for in the last 2 games, they didn't really seem to pan out. Yeah, but this is kind of his bread and butter right now.
Yeah, I want to see the more heavy bio units. We'll see now if he wants to go for that third CC. That's what he's been leaning towards with this build, rather than +2 barracks, even though that's been a little bit popular in Korea lately. Now dropping out for Stalkers here for just a little bit of harassment. He knows he can't get too much done.
Yeah, just 1 or 2 SCVs is about all you're going to get there. And interestingly, he's going for what was
Glaives, man.
Yeah, he's going for Glaives.
That's fascinating. We haven't seen anything like this in a really long time.
Oh, did he see that?
Wow.
That was just barely in the field of view. I don't think he noticed.
No, I think he just barely missed it. I think you're right about that. There's no way you would keep your Stalkers there. But that scan might set him off, right?
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, typically Terran players, when they scan like that, they got something. They got something coming. He already saw He already saw the probe moving out to build that third base with the Hellion, and 5 gates as well. So this is going to be going up to 7-gate Colossus, not only with Blink Stalkers, but with Glaive Adepts. And in the meantime, Ryung, he might. Oh, he sees the recall. What's only 3 Stalkers though?
Sickest bluff. Sickest bluff and/or mistake. Dude, this Glaive thing is blowing my mind right now. The one thing I want to say is that there is one situation, I think, where you can go Glaives with Colossi. And this is one where you don't use the Shade ability. You use them as tanking, kind of like Zealots, but it's when you're poking constantly with the Colossi. I wonder if that's what we're going to see here. We'll see if he masses up the Glaives or not, or is this just going to be a harassment tool? I'm not sure.
It could also be that, I mean, when he poked and prodded with the Stalkers earlier in the game, he did scout a really high Marine to Marauder ratio.
Yeah.
And maybe this is him just trying to kind of counter the Terran army composition, because if you go for fast Colossus, not only with the Thermal Lance, but with a bunch of Glaive Adepts, that's going to melt Marines.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
Absolutely. And like, you just kind of keep them together. You know, the funny thing is, like, Charge Lots and Colossi don't actually pair well. It's just they're both really good, so it works. But, like, they run ahead of the Colossi, and the Colossi isn't helping as much. So, yeah, very interesting comp here. But you know what? With those siege tanks out, I like Ryung's setup here.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be tough to break into.
Yeah.
And I mean, at the same time, this is... I feel like Zoun's got a lot riding on this push and getting some kind of damage done, because I don't think he even has a Forge up at home right now. He's just looking to exert maximum pressure.
He's going to drop some Adepts into that main base, work a few more out there as well. He does force a lift off, but the Vikings can come up and clear this. Oh, they actually turn around, interestingly.
I don't know if is he maybe worried about the Colossus coming into the front?
I don't know, but I think that it would have been a good play to go clear that. Like, the Prism is actually more scary than that army right now.
Well, he is going to clean it up at the natural in the main base, losing only 7 SCVs, and I guess Zoun is kind of content with this and going back into double Robo Disruptor, and
he's going charge 1-1 now as well. So, okay, an interesting play, but I think the Siege Tanks basically countered his composition so hard. Like, Charge Zealots are very good against Siege Tanks. Adepts are just not at all.
They clumped way too hard.
Yeah, and they're like underneath the Colossi anyways, so it's just like you're getting sick value with those Siege Tanks. Very well spread here from Ryung.
Oh boy.
That is a huge drop.
Is that... Oh my god. That is barely out of the field of view. I think the function of this drop is trying to deny the 4th base, if I'm not mistaken. But, oh, Zoun should be aware. Flying that hallucination over those 4 Siege Tanks and seeing nothing with them, I think you got to anticipate a drop right now.
All right, gonna go ahead and, oh my god, it's just out of vision there too. And Stims 2 Marines forward here. I guess they get a good scout off.
Yeah, he was trying to decide what to go for, and it's gonna be the 3rd Nexus, and he might even be able to get the 4th with this. Shield Battery Overcharge going off of that Nexus though, and that's healing really fast, giving time for the Stalkers to come in here, and they're trading really effectively. Blink was not used yet, so that is almost 2 Medivacs going down there. A little bit greedy going for the full HP one right there, but that is still like 14, 16 supply going down for, I guess, 17 probes. I mean, it's not the worst trade in the world.
Well, that army is kind of stuck, man. Like 30 supply in the bottom left corner. That's... I think he'll probably find a way to get out of there, but that is highly annoying. The Overcharge really saving that Nexus. That thing would have fallen for sure if it wasn't for that.
Oh yeah, overcharging a battery and putting on a Nexus is like such a good move.
Dude, that is tanking a lot of damage.
I do like the way that Ryung is navigating his unit composition behind this, though. I mean, he is kind of doing what was successful in Game 1 and Game 2. It's a lot of Siege Tanks. He's still building them with Ghosts and Vikings. He still has that 1 NG Bay going up into Armory now, and he's going to hit max even after losing that Medivac full of units. A lot faster than Zoun, and that's going to be a tough army to deal with. And the thing is that Zoun going for Disruptors, I mean, there's only 3 with this army right now, 4 I guess, but he is making more, and if those get zoned out by the Siege Tanks, we might see another slow push that could be really effective.
Yeah. Now, I see a Stargate being made. What do you make of this?
I think this is... My guess is that he is making some slow transition to the Tempest to deal with a potential Liberator transition, because that has been exactly what Ryung has been going for.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a very good point.
Yeah, we even see the 2nd starport going down now. I wouldn't be surprised if we had a Fusion Core in a little bit too.
Yeah. Well, that has been Ryung's go-to, and I think late game it's a very good choice anyways.
Right.
Oh, you know what?
Oh,
that's
you might just want the Medivacs.
Of course.
Yeah.
We are way overthinking it. He's making a Phoenix to kill those 3 Medivacs. But
no, he's getting the fleet beacon too. I mean, it's
and
kind
two
of
more Stargates.
Yeah,
okay.
It's a 2-for-1 deal right
it's
there.
It's for Phoenix range to really get the medevacs. Okay.
Oh, wow, 3 Stargate coming up. This is actually going to be a pretty insane transition, and this might completely preempt the Liberator. I mean, this is such a smart play. I mean, Ryung has been really consistent in terms of the weight of his game plan in the late game every single time. It's been siege tanks into Liberators and trying to zone out Protoss. And just poking and prodding right now, like you said, with the Depths and Stalkers and Colossi and getting a little bit of damage done. Keeping the Terran on the back foot, and man, I love this. Blink DT's coming in as well.
That Blink upgrade almost done.
I really like going for the Tempest here as opposed to going for Templar, especially knowing that Ryung's been playing so early.
Oh, totally, I do agree with you there.
Zoun's adjustments over the course of this series have been really brilliant.
Yeah, pretty phenomenal, really. Just chipping a little bit of damage over there. Fusion Core is on the way, almost done. 2-2, going to be finishing up as well.
And if you're Ryung right now, I mean, he is maxed. His army's not getting too much better. He is setting up to remax with a superior army with the Liberators, but being in the dark against a Tempest transition is really dangerous. And man, this Observer getting so much value. I think that might be the Observer that we saw like almost like 7 minutes ago over there at the third.
I think you're right. Hey, you get a good position like that, just leave it for the whole game, man. It's not like he's going to add a turret there randomly.
Right. But I'm really liking this game for Zoun right now. I mean, I feel like the timing window for this army composition with Ryung is kind of past. And the path forward is really challenging.
What do you think about just the concept of what late game TVP should look like? Because I think we're almost there with Ryung, where it's lighter on bio, heavier on Ghost, Siege Tank, Liberator, Viking. Ooh, that's actually a really good move. He gets a lot of Siege Tanks there.
Yeah, 4 Siege Tanks for like what, 4 or 5 Dark Templar.
Yeah,
it's
worth.
Oh, it's actually going to be a carrier transition, so just completely skipping the.
Okay.
Huh.
Now, I mean, carriers, obviously, you know, a lot of people prefer carriers to Tempest. I'm actually on the same page as you, though. I actually like the Tempest in a lot of situations. And the thing is, their damage output is phenomenal. You can have some amazing engagements with them. They can really turn the tide of battle. Oh, wow, it gets a Fusion Core. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, we didn't even see this.
This is insane what these DTs are doing. But I feel like when you do switch into carriers like this, if Terran catches wind, it's possible to counter them hard enough that you wipe them real quick, and then it can be a little bit difficult, right? Because they do take up a bunch of your supply, and they do have some counters.
It's actually adding 2 more Stargates. That's going to make this, I think, a 4 or 5 carrier transition. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken. He's finally going to see it with the medevacs now. 17 SCVs, though, going down for Ryung, and I don't think he minds that too much. He is making 3 more, but with 2 more command centers along the way, I mean, as Terran in the late game, you do have the advantage of being able to kind of get the supply free harvesting through the mules and have a superior army supply. And you really do need it against these extremely complex Protoss army. But I do hear what you're saying with the carriers. If Ryung is able to take a fight and wipe it, not only do they take forever to build even with Crota Boost.
Yeah. Well, but I think what he needs to do here is focus so much of his supply on Vikings. And he is switching over a little bit, right? He has the 2 starports with reactors. And yeah, he's going back into 4. Like, he has a lot of Liberators, which are going to do well against the ground army. Now he's making a lot of Vikings. And it's tricky. I think in this position, by the way, for Zoun, if I could just say how I think he can almost guarantee his victory, he needs to make, like, 15 gateways right now.
I think we actually saw him throw down like 4 or 5 more once he hit max. Yeah, so not the 15.
Oh, I want to see just mass gates because we could. Oh my God, he's actually just blinking underneath everything. Oh my God,
what an insane engagement there by Zoun. Just kind of coming in, sniping. I want to say like 4 Liberators there, maybe even a Viking, and then the Disruptors just zoning everything out. That was brilliant.
He lost like 40 supply there in the blink of an eye.
Yeah, and losing starport units right now for the Terran player is so painful because you do need them to counter the Protoss army. You need to be able to have those Liberators to control the ground area, and you need the Vikings to snipe the the carriers. Otherwise, it's so tough to fight. And I mean, losing those air units gives Zoun this opportunity to continue moving across the map and just poke and prod everywhere. Is SCV even, more SCVs even going down here.
I think his workers are still kind of okay. You know, he does have mules popping out occasionally as well. 4 carriers on the way, remaking Liberators for the most part. But this is going more and more and more Sky Toss heavy for Zoun.
Right, and that makes me a little bit concerned about the Liberator transition. I mean, that is a good number of Vikings, though, and I guess he did mostly lose Liberators in that little scuffle by the 4th base, but this is looking really scary. I mean, even the bank for Zoun right now is just massive.
And nice EMP goes down. These Disruptors actually kind of holding this comp together. Like, the actual ground, like, the Stalkers are there to make sure that the carriers can't be dived on, and then the Disruptors are there to make sure that you can't kill the Stalkers, you know? It's really, Zoun is doing a beautiful job with the army.
Even more DTs coming in, kind of taking a page out of Ryung's book by distracting him and coming in with a multi-prong attack. And oh man, these Liberators on attack move right now on a Colossus is not what you want to see. Feels like Ryung is getting taxed right now as he's losing even more units. 17, 19, 20 SCVs going off in the meantime.
Oh no.
Things just falling apart here for Ryung as Zoun is already up to a 4,000 resource bank and even more DTs coming on. And man, you just blink on that army and kill it.
Yeah, the DTs have been just phenomenal here.
+3
Killing
damage
the economy.
DTs.
Ryung is pretty much dead now, I think. Look at his income. It's been like halved. He's at 38 workers.
Yeah, there is no path back from here. Zoun is just artfully maneuvering across the map, taking any damage anywhere he can find. And the Disruptors, like you said, they completely zone out the land army. The Stalkers prevent any kind of damage coming in on the carriers, and just unit after unit gets swiped. Really brilliant play here.
Yeah, the DT's still roaming around looking for more damage.
Well, I mean, Zoun has all the money in the world right now.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the advantages of being so aggressive like this is not only is he doing all this damage to Ryung, but Ryung can do nothing across the map. I mean, he is just macroing freely.
Yeah, he's got such a large economy during all of this as well. The Liberators fighting in anti-air mode here. Not doing the most fantastic job, unfortunately. I think that's going to be it. Ryung going to have to tap out.
Man.
And what a comeback. Ryung looking like he was going to go to the next round, but Zoun with the reverse sweep.
Our 3rd reverse sweep in 5 best-of-5.
That's crazy, yeah. What a super tournament thus far.
But what a showing out of Ryung. I mean, he did kind of, it feels like his play did get solved a little bit in some sense from Zoun. Zoun made really smart adjustments all the way through that series. It feels like every single game that he won was in a more dominating fashion than the last.
Yeah.
Just really reading his opponent with every single game. But, I mean, you come into this on paper, and I wouldn't be surprised if viewers at home are predicting like a 3-0 or a 3-1 for Zoun.
I sure was.
So Ryung coming in with 2 wins there from the beginning is really impressive. And here we go. Let's go to an interview with our winner.
Unfortunately, Ryung couldn't close out the series, and it is Zoun taking it down with a reverse sweep. Congratulations, Zoun. Thank you. Wow, another reverse sweep made by you, Zoun. So after a neck-and-neck series, it is you taking the win. So how do you feel? Well, while preparing, I was very nervous. So I knew that today would not be an easy game, easy match. And it was not an easy match for sure. Well, the 3rd game was definitely very instrumental to your overall victory today. There was a big gap, big discrepancy between your production. And we couldn't believe that you actually came back from that game. So how did you come back from the game? Well, the Terran came down when he had full army, and he made some mistakes, which were quite crucial. And you know, that gave me the opportunity to try until the very end. And then I was lucky with the disruptor shots. And then, you know, overall, I think I did a good job in the game. In the last game, let's talk about that one. The Blink Stalkers and the Adapts were utilized very well in the last game. Well, I was going to go for double Colossus. But then if the opponent goes for tank, I cannot win. So then I transitioned to another build, and I was going for the upgrades as well, consistently. And Zoun, you are very famous for being good with the reverse sweeps. So, you know, what was through your mind overall today?
목숨 없는 새 게임이라고 생각하면서 생각을 많이 하긴 했는데.
Well, the third game was very difficult for me, and then, you know, I had to think a lot. But, you know, I kept my hope until the very end. Well, you can definitely tell your mentality is very strong. Now, Zoun, you're aiming for your third consecutive Super Tournament finals. So far, you have shown very good performance in the Super Tournament. So this time, I'm sure you have your eyes set on the trophy. So, what do you think about that? Well, you know, I already went to the finals twice, so, you know, a third one, I definitely hope I do make it to my third finals. And I'm trying my best right now. Well, the third finals, you're definitely going to have to win it, right? So I'm looking forward to your performance, Zoun. So before you go, anything you want to say? Well, first of all, I want to thank Alpha X and my sponsors for supporting me. And I thank my fans. And this is my second time playing on stage with the live audience. So, you know, I hope you guys keep cheering me on in the future matches. Once again, congratulations, Zoun. Thank you.
All right, there we have it. Zoun looking for his third finals. We'll see if he makes it. But first, a quick commercial break, and we'll come back with Dream versus Solar.